Hello Internet, my name is Drew and welcome to The Dungeon. The idea here is simple. I want to share everything I learned from running my first Dungeons & Dragons campaign as a DM. I started playing D&D back in the early 90s, I guess, in high school. My cousin gave me his first edition AD&D books, and myself and my little brother and some friends decided to start playing, and we moved from there into second edition AD&D, and we played the whole way through high school, and it was amazing. So I had quite a lot of experience as a player, but this was the first time that I had ever stepped behind the DM screen and tried to run a campaign. That campaign started as an after-work game night at the office, and it stretched from that into a 3-year campaign. So my first ever shot at DMing went for 3 years. So I think that's pretty good. And part of that is that I was working as a game designer before that role. So I've got a little bit of maybe different perspective, different insight on how to engineer and how to build the game, which I'm hoping to share. The other thing is that campaign was 100% homebrew. Pretty much. I used some monsters out of the Monstrous Manual at the start, but by the end I was writing my own monsters, creating my own mechanics, doing everything from scratch, and I think that that is the way that D&D should be played. The main thing that separates D&D from other games, every other game, is that it is infinite because you can do anything you want with it. You can create anything that you can conceive of in your imagination. You can come up with any scenario, any character, any problem, any monster. You can create anything. I passionately believe that the best form of this game is when you really take the reins and try to sculpt something of your own. Really challenge the limits of your imagination with what you can make rather than running something that is pre-made and created by someone else. That experience should be owned by the people at the table and no one else. You shouldn't ideally need to depend on anybody else to tell you how to move your campaign forward. You should be able to make your own mechanics, make your own rules, make your own monsters, make your own items, make your own everything, right? Like that's the beauty of homebrew, and I'm a big proponent of it. Also, I should say, I play 4th edition D&D. So that'll be another controversial probably, although maybe not now. I see a lot of people like actually coming around and understanding the genius of that system, and I'm passionate about it. I really, really like it. I play 4E. But this isn't going to be a 4E channel, right? Like I'm not here to evangelize about 4th edition. A lot of the examples that I give will be using 4E as a base, but the concepts should translate whether you're playing 4E, 5E, Shadowrun, Cyberpunk, whatever, because the concepts are design level. And the implementation will be up to you. If you want to try and steal some of this stuff and use it in your own games and you're not playing the same system I am, then obviously things won't translate directly, but the concept should still work. You're going to get the most out of this material if you are on board with the general assumption that D&D should be structured around 3 things. It should be heroic in tone, it should be epic in scope, and it should be narrative driven. Those 3 things, all of those 3 things underpin every decision, every design decision that I make as a dungeon master and the experience that I want to try and bring to my players at my table. So if that's the kind of D&D that you're interested in, or even if you're just like, maybe there's some stuff here I can steal, then stick around because I think there's probably going to be quite a lot of material here for you. I really want to just say, here are some tools. Here's the stuff that worked for me. Here's a way that you can do this too. Right? Like, because I thought maybe I couldn't do it. And I was wrong. I could. I did. And I'm going to do it again. Right? So maybe if I can give those things out, then more people can do this and, more people will experience this D&D. So why now? I think all of us have seen the writing on the wall with regard to potentially where D&D is headed. This won't be a shock to anyone who's kind of like thought about it or watched Matt Colville's great videos where he goes into this stuff in a bit more detail. For anyone who's not sure what I'm talking about, Wizards and Hasbro have made the statement that D&D is under-monetized as a brand. They want Dungeons & Dragons to be performing at Magic the Gathering kind of levels of revenue. So what's going to happen is that Hasbro are going to make a play to redefine what D&D is as a game. They're going to make that into a more monetizable form. It's going to look like D&D, it's going to have the D&D logo on it, and it's going to have all the same rules and all the rest of it, but it's not going to be D&D. And here's the reason why. Dungeons & Dragons involves work. It involves work on the part of the players and the DM. It involves imagination. You need to imagine the sound of the Orc Warband as it charges down the hill, the rushing of the river, the creaking of the pirate ship, the clash of the swords. You need to imagine the blue flame of the wizard's fireball, if that's what they describe their fireball as being. If you go into a sandbox provided to you by a corporation where everything is gated and controlled, and you need to pay microtransaction money to make your fireball blue, you're no longer doing that work. You're no longer imagining what things could be. You are now consuming. It means that that infinite nature of the game that I spoke about before, that is suddenly gone. And now you can only do the stuff that appears or is available inside of the sandbox. No matter how flexible that sandbox is, if I just use words and imagination, I can build anything and I can play forever. I just get the feeling they're going to aim for a very locked down, controlled type of a product where they are the only ones who can dispense the official content. The official content is the only thing you can play, and homebrew is basically sidelined or destroyed completely because it represents a threat to profit. One other thing to think about is that if Wizards is incredibly successful with this venture, then other systems accounting departments will start looking at the way that this thing is performing and go, oh, well, you know, Wizards made $250 million or whatever. I guess we better do that too. And it's not that I'm inherently opposed to change, but I'm not keen about embracing these limitations because I want to be able to do anything. That's the point of this game. If I wanted to play a limited experience, I would go and play a video game. And I love video games. I'm a solid gamer. I've spent more time in World of Warcraft than I'd care to admit, but D&D is not that. It's a separate experience. I guess that's probably fine as an intro video. I don't want things to go on too long. I have a rambling problem and I don't have a lot of time to edit. So those two things are probably not going to make this a successful channel. The final thing I should mention is that I'm not really looking to build a brand. I don't want to be a YouTube personality. I don't feel like I'm that guy. So I don't want you to sign up to my Patreon. And I'm not going to tell you to subscribe at the end of every video. You're an adult. You know how YouTube works. Subscribe if you want to. You know how it works. Click the button or don't. It's up to you. Likewise, if you want to support the channel, in a previous life, before I was a game designer, I was a musician, and I still am. The last thing I made is a cover of Archangel from Cyberpunk 2077. I think it's about 85,000 views now, so some people have seen it. You might know that's me. You know, the music, it's on my other channel. I'll put a link. I like to play a lot of music in my games. I wanted a particular type of music during combats, but I found it very hard to find music that ticked all the boxes, so I decided to try to write some. And I did, and my EP is called Battle Song. It's on Spotify, it's on all the streaming services, and it's also available for purchase on Bandcamp. So, if you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is to buy my music and then play it when you're playing D&D. And when you go into a battle and you're fighting monsters, put my music on and kill the monsters with my music in the background, and that would make me super happy. I'd be stoked to know that you're doing that. Anyways, wow, that was a lot. I'm sorry if it's like a fire hose, but there's an awful lot in my head. I need to get it out and I don't have a lot of time. So stick around and there's going to be a lot more. Until next time then, thanks very much for watching and I'll catch you later. Bye. I rolled to hit. I got 22. Does that hit? Yes, it does. Okay, I did 8 damage. All right, what are you? Oh my God. What's he doing? He's got the mads. He's going to attack me. I know it.